easy to seize on this, and it does ignite a rage from average folks who say, I don't have these liberties. And that's obviously what Hillary Clinton and her folks are going on. That's what her supporters are going on. But truth be told, no laws were broken here, right?
No, I agree. And I think the issue is actually not so much about, the logistics of how the books were moved around and whether he gamed. I mean, he takes pride in the fact that he games the system. And I think that is at the heart of people's concern, the lack of transparency.
That I'm smart. That makes me very smart, right?
It's not, right. And it's a transparency thing. And it is, how are you going to play by the rules like you're asking every other American to play by? You can debate tax law, the Buffett rule, which says if you hit a certain mark in your income, you should be paying 30%. Hillary Clinton was paying 31%. She was paying 31% in taxes.
But the rules are the rules, right? So, Mark, I want to touch on that with you. The rules are the laws that exist, right? And this happens and is allowed. And to Charlie Gasparino's point, there are more of these rules encoded in the tax code for real estate, even casino interest. So people will debate that as we are now, but still say, yeah, but it's fishy to me. I don't like it. What's the fallout for Donald Trump?
No, I don't think there is a fallout. I think this will be a net positive. I think this is going to backfire on the New York Times and the Clinton campaign, Neil, because if you listen to Professor Gaspo there and his academic analysis, that's not what voters are going to take away from this. There are millions of independent contractors and small business people who I think will look at this and they will agree with it. They'll say, well, of course, any person in business is trying to limit their tax exposure every single year.
It's the number.
But then they look at
the number big.
But then they look at Hillary Clinton.
It's a big number, right?
But then they look at Hillary Clinton, who set up nonprofits.
Dan as our resident accountant expert here. Dan, it's the big number that catches attention, right?
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's about how large that number is. It's not 90,000. It's $900 million. Right. That's the issue. But again, we see Donald Trump being targeted here because if you want to talk about...
Because he's running for president.
He's running for president. Well,
and
Hillary Clinton... Let's be real clear.
Wait a minute. Let's move over to Hillary Clinton for a moment because we talked about Hillary Clinton had I believe it was a $1 million charitable tax deduction, and it went to the Clinton Foundation.
Right.
Now, how does that pass the smell test?
But here's the thing. You know about that for a reason. Because she released her taxes. I mean, here's the problem that I think Donald has here. This thing is shrouded in a lot of secrecy, and it's going to keep. And I'm not saying one story is going to do.
Should have just released.
He should have just listen.
Like
but you're missing you're missing the politics here.
Let me just make this point. He was told a year ago to release it, and he refused to. Now, here's the other point I want to make. There's a lot of interesting deductions that he took out that he doesn't want publicized.
Right.
Or else he would have released it.
But you're missing the comeback story. This is an American comeback story. How many people do you know lose $1 billion and then turn it into a multi-billion-dollar empire? And compare that to Hillary Clinton, the establishment shill for special interests who uses the nonprofit's tax status to hide money.
Sir, he didn't pay any taxes on all his apprentice winnings. Think about that.
There's only two reasons that he wouldn't.
It doesn't play well. It doesn't play well.
They want Trump to do that for America.
He says he made something like $300 million. I might have the number wrong on his apprentice.
And he didn't pay.
And he paid any taxes. And I will say this.
You're comparing an entrepreneur
to he's probably, and when you see some of these deductions, you can probably surmise that he's not worth $10 billion.
All right, now, there's a lot we don't know because we only got
an establishment politician.
All right, but we didn't get a lot of details on these things. I think 3 different pages of 3 different forms. Right. So that's the end of it. So, Marjorie, is there a risk here that be careful what you wish for, Democrats making hay of this, because then they could start going through Clinton Foundation stuff and write-offs and connections, and all bets are off for the next debate?
There's already been a lot of digging into that, and I think that's why, and look, smartly, key rule of crisis communication or getting in front of an issue is to disclose everything up front, and that way it's out there. And that's the issue. The question is, why is he concealing them? And I think it could be 2 things. One, the actual practices of how he was, offloading money that he would have to pay, and then the 2, he's not worth as much money as he brags about. It's an ego thing.
Well,
and I think
Forbes magazine, no fan of his, says he's still worth close to $4 billion. Now, that's a lot less than Trump says. But, Dan, it does beg an issue that Republicans have talked about. Well, this guy, I think, to quote Rudy Giuliani, must be a genius because he was able to leverage the tax code to his advantage. But will that, now I'm asking you to go into politics here, but does that carry the day? Everything is legal, everything is right what he did, but the stigma still exists that, hey, you lost almost $1 billion, and as a result, since then, potentially, you haven't had to pay a dime in taxes since.
Well, I would leave it with this. I'm not going to make a political statement here, but whether you're wealthy, whether you're middle class, or whether you're poor, what everyone has in common is no one likes to pay tax.
No, of course not.
There you go. Hey, look, Clinton did not get wealthy the honest way. And people see that as transparent.
If he's so genius, this is the non sequitur here of that argument.
We don't use big words.
Okay, this is the contradiction of that.
Sequiturs that aren't.
Okay, it's kind of a contradiction, but it's a little more. It doesn't make sense.
Indeed.
Why doesn't if he's such a genius, why doesn't he just release it?
Yeah,
because then we'd all
released
figure
it a year ago. We'd have thrashed
look, that is a very conventional standard, right? If just because they've always done it, he should do it.
Honesty and transparency.
That's not affecting votes. Honesty
How do you know?
is dishonesty with Hillary Clinton is using.
Mark, he would have avoided all of this. I generally agree with you. I think, but the president said it's a lot of get it out there, thrash it out, beat the hell out of each other with it. But it doesn't last very long, because I tell you, journalists are not keen on numbers or going into numbers or getting details of numbers, then they drop it after.
Some are.
Right. But if you compare that,
one.
But you don't talk about transparency. Compare that to Hillary Clinton and her clear, deliberate methods to avoid any transparency whatsoever while she was Secretary of State.
Marjorie, take on that.
And with her nonprofit organizations.
All right, Marjorie.
But the other point is, look, nobody likes to pay taxes. I mean, absolutely, we all want to minimize our tax burden. But in the end, you also have to look at what are taxes for. Do the IRS codes need to be changed? Absolutely.
By the way,
I think
Marjorie,
everybody agrees on that.
do you make a big deal of the 47% of Americans who pay no federal income tax at all, a number that's doubled in just the last 30 years?
Well, look, this is again where we've got to be smart and efficient about how and where we spend our tax money.
But we still paying the bills.
And we still need to pay for schools and roads and all those things. And I mean,
but that's right. This issue is about wealth redistribution versus wealth creation.
Guys, thank you very much. I think we wrapped up that round. You're welcome, America. All right, there's another problem out there, and I remember.